Alright, Magnolia finally has her new grade 3 revealed without a new ride line, since we do technically have a new ride line back in Divine Set 1, but this set has a reprint ride line along with some support for other decks. So let's begin. So first off, let's start off with the Vajilla support from the Quick Start deck, Dawn of the End, and Win, which is grade 2 and take power on the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Vajilla, cost energy boss 3 to choose one of your opponent's rearguards and bind it. This is of course going to be very helpful since that's just a way of removal, and more binding the better. With the second skill, Auto Rearguard, when your rearguard with Eshwar attacks, aka the partner rearguard, this card gets its 5k power at the end of the turn. Considering that Vajilla can restand a rearguard that can possibly attack twice, this might get a total of 10k buff overall. In which the third skill is Count Guardian, if your Vanguard is at least grade 3 Vajilla, shield plus 10k. Mainly here for the extra removal and extra power, but the extra defense is pretty nice as well, so I guess you could actually run this for the deck. And into another new companion card, Flare Cosmore, which is grade 1 k power on the skills. Auto drop, when your unit with Ezrar is placed, cost Counterblast 1 and call this to rearguard in the same column as that unit. But if it was called by Vajilla's ability, you can reduce the Counterblast by 1, aka call it for free. This is pretty good since any type of free superior call is always pretty nice, especially to combo off with your main companion card. With the second skill, Auto Back Row Rearguard, when your Ezward is stood at the battle phase, aka through Vajilla's ability usually, stand this unit. So basically it's a restanding booster that can call itself for free. Overall it's pretty nice, so I say run this. And then to a new order card, Blazing Star Cross, which is another ultimate skill, so you play it by Soul Blasting 1 while your Vanguard is Vajilla. Choose one of your Ezward, and it gets plus 10k power in the end turn. But if your opponent's Vanguard is at least a grade 3, it also gets this ability until the end turn. Auto Rearguard, when this unit is stood by the ability of your Vanguard Vajilla, and if either bind zone has at least 3 cards, or if you persona right during the turn, crit plus 1 in the end turn. Not too bad, I mean it's just extra crit pressure with some extra power, which is something Vajilla always lack considering that it's a budget deck since all it does is just really restand the rear guard. But having a double attacker with some extra power is already pretty nice, but some extra crit pressure on top of it, pretty good. And then here's the remaining deck list. Of course, comparing to the Stokea one, this is going to be more reprints since most of the cards have already been printed over time as promos, but being promo reprints is always pretty nice. And the deck looks pretty good to be picking up. And also, there's also a chance for character critical triggers as foils. And then to the one new Artisaria card, Angelic Echo Lumio, which is a grade 2 with taking power in the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, choose at least a grade 3 Artisaria from your hand, reveal it, and if the revealed card or your Vanguard is at least the grade 3 Artisaria, cost energy boss 2, call a Shadow Army token to rearguard but cannot attack during the turn. The nice part is that you can call the Shadow Army token in the early game at grade 2 turn, but you can only use it as boosting, and it's just basically a way to cheat out a Shadow Army token basically. So this skill alone is already pretty nice. But the second skill is Auto, when put on Guardian, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Artisaria, cost, you can retire up to 2 Shadow Army tokens, and this card gets shield plus 10k for each one retired. Plus a 25k shield is pretty nice, especially since you will be calling a bunch of Shadow Army tokens. Although still doesn't really completely fixes the deck, it does help out with the deck a bit, especially on the early game. And now to some new cards for Magnolia. We start off with Sylvan Horn Beast Rakika, which is a grade 3 with taking power in the skills. Count Rearguard Guardian. If your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Magnolia, this card gets intercept and also plus 5k. And spoiler, you're going to be able to intercept from the back row because of new Magnolia. In which the second skill is Auto Back Row. When this card attacks, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Magnolia, plus 10k power to the end of the battle. I mean, free power, free shield, pretty nice. Especially since Magnolia does need attack numbers, so it might actually be worth running just for the attack number. And then we go to Sylvan Horn Beast Voldier, which is grade 2 with 10k power in the skills. Auto Rearguard, when this card attacks, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Magnolia, into the end battle, this unit gets 5k power and your opponent cannot intercept. Considering that your rearguards are going to most likely do small pokes, blocking the intercept is actually pretty good. But the second skill is Auto Rearguard. At the end of your turn, if your Vanguard is at least a grade 3 Magnolia, if your unit attacked from the back row this turn, put this assault to draw a card. AKA, it's just basically an archetype inland pulse for the deck, without having the 4 attack restriction, but more the back row restriction, which is basically what the deck is famous for anyway. So overall, a good new addition, especially to help out with the soul. And then we go to Sylvan Horn Beast Comet Dread, which is grade 2 with taking power on the skills. Auto drop. When your at least grade 3 Vanguard Magnolia is placed, perform one of the followings. If you do not have a rearguard with the same card name as this card, call this to rearguard, and if your opponent's Vanguard is at least grade 3, plus 5k, always pretty good for a free superior call, especially for a deck that needs rearguards. But the second skill is puts it to soul, and then choose one of your Vanguards, and then the cost of the original act abilities is reduced by 1 counterblast in the end turn. This card is just overall pretty good. It's a free superior call along with basically a cost reduction for your Vanguard, and also fills up soul on top of it if you need it. And anything that can save you or even give you resources is always pretty nice. So no reason not to run this. And now finally we go to the Sylvan Hornbeast Emperor Magnolia Patriarch, which is grade 3 with 3 power, and the skill is auto. When placed on Vanguard, choose 1 Sylvan Hornbeast from drop zone and call it to rearguard. A free superior call on plays, pretty nice. Although Elder can do it once per turn, especially now since you can skip to Elder with a promo card. In which the second skill is Count Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3, all your rearguards get intercept from the back row and also plus 5k power. And if you persona right during the turn, drive plus 1 and active on your opponent's turn as well. This is basically an added thing that the original never had, because intercepting from the back row is of course very nice because this is a grade 2 heavy deck. While Elder still gives the power and it's a triple drive by default, it never gave out the intercept. So this is already a huge update to basically the original grade 3, along with a bit of Elder. But the final skill is of course the back row attack skill, where act Vanguard once per turn, cost count plus 1. Choose the same number of rear guards equal to your opponent's Vanguard's grade, and they get to attack from the back row in the end turn. So it's a very simple upgrade to basically the grade 3 and a bit of Elder, because of course the original grade 3 needs you to persona ride to be able to choose your whole entire back row, but on your first grade 3 turn, it's going to be only 1 unit. While comparing this to Elder, well, Elder can call for free every single turn, and it's a triple drive by default, so you don't need the drive plus 1 during a persona ride turn. This one has the added benefit of the intercept from back row, which can be huge depending on scenario. And also because Elder is a grade 4, so if you want to skip to grade 4, it will rely on another card in comparison to this one. But overall, there's really not much to say, that it's just basically a huge upgrade to the original grade 3, and it's basically a little bit combined with Elder along with it, to the point that you could just completely replace Elder and just have this as just your full-on boss unit, especially since you are saving space by taking out the grade 4 superior rider. But it's also nice that you could run Elder with this. But once again, I have to say, it kind of does exactly the same as Elder, except Elder will have the permanent triple drive while this one won't, only for the persona ride turn, but this one does have the permanent intercept from the back row. So there's ups and downs on doing what you want to do, but for a new grade 3 boss unit, very good. And finally, here's the secret rare, and next week we got Ukeberg Rebuild with a new ride line. Hopefully it does not replace the rebel forms and actually makes use of the old rebel forms. And so that's it for this one with the new Magnolia Patriarch, along with some support for other decks. What do you guys think of it? For the support cards for Vajilla and Artisera, they're not too bad. Pretty helpful in fact, although for Artisera it doesn't completely fix the deck, but it does help. As for the new Magnolia, it's just overall pretty good. An updated grade 3 boss unit that it really needs. And that you can also run the grade 4 with it if you wish. But in that, there's not much to say, and see y'all next time.